Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the first podcast. I'm going to be calling this Conscious Podcast. And with Jules. So here we go. So what are we going to talk about? Well, all things conscious, which comes down to, meditation is the practice of the conscious life. It's the nuts and bolts, it's the bread and butter, it's the essence, the core, and the main part of all that. But you don't have to take, this is the thing, so you can take psychedelics to raise your consciousness. This is what Leo Guru did, or the Actualize.org founder. Check him out if you haven't already, Actualize.org with a Z. This is how he became enlightened. He took psychedelics, he meditated a lot, he did self-inquiry. So pretty much meditating, and psychedelics are the two main avenues of raising your consciousness. Alright. What's conscious apart from meditation? Well, your actions, your thoughts. But the thing is, all these things spring from a better mind. So when you have a healthy mind, which is just like a pool of water, it's all stirred up. When you try and change it, when you try and control it, when you try and change it on its own level, because the pool of water messes up. As Einstein says, you can't change a problem at the same level of thinking that created it. Or in other words, there's different definitions, there's different phrases that they say he used, but ultimately it's the same thing. But so another way of saying it is, he said, you can't change a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. So if it's a different level of thought or a different level of consciousness, it's ultimately the same thing, because you change your consciousness by being you change your thought by being at a higher state of consciousness, which attracts a better thought. And to do that is you just let your mind run. You let it do what it wants. You give it space to just do what it wants to do. But you got to be vigilant at the same time. So you got to be careful, but then eventually you'll drop vigilance, because even that's a thought. You'll notice that like all these things are thoughts. They're all thoughts. All these little techniques are thoughts. It's all about using a thought to remove a thought, or a thorn to remove a thorn, then you throw both the thorns away. A good one that I'm using at the moment is you're trusting that someone or God or something that's conscious is with you. I don't know what else that would be from another person when I said a thing. Anyway, but yeah, so Christians trust in Jesus. They know that Jesus and God are with them. They work on their relationship with him, which just means imagining that he's with you, or knowing that he's with you. You know, that's more of what it is, but it is a belief, because they're not fully enlightened, these Christians. So it's a belief. They won't admit it, but it's a belief until you actually experience it to be true. So, but a lot of them have had spiritual experiences. That's how they turned Christian some of the time, is they said, I'll believe in Jesus if there's this guy in a car and he's like, I'll believe in Jesus if the lightning strikes in 3, 2, 1, and then the lightning struck. And he's like, oh shit, it was on Instagram. And from this page, this Christian page. So they use that as evidence to support their theory, their hypothesis, their belief that Jesus is real and always real. And he is. I mean, look, I'm the same. I'm not fully enlightened, so I don't know about God. I do in sense of synchronicities. I've had synchronicities. I have had a dream actually of God. And I have experienced high levels of heaven, so I know he's a state of consciousness. God is a state of consciousness. Because in the dream it was like I was in heaven. I was like floating. I was like a hot air balloon, and I was floating up and up and up. And every time I would think something, it would be like a beautiful song would be playing in the background as I was floating up, and then I'd have a negative thought, or a thought, any thought, and it would be like, and it would like you know how you pluck a string and it breaks on a guitar or something. That's the sound it made when I would have a thought. So you naturally float up. You're like a cork in water. You'll naturally float to the top if you don't drag yourself down with thoughts. But it's not really you. So it is and it isn't. But it's at the most fundamental level, it's not you. It's just thought doing thought. It's just conditioning. but it starts to uncondition itself and become more positive over time as you meditate. So yeah, so basically what you got to do is you just allow the water to settle, and then you can see your own reflection if you just let it be. So alright, 5 minutes in. Alright, let's try and get a 15-minute. It's a short one, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, so look, consciousness is the end of everything. Look, if the thing is, like, if you want anything out of life, God will give it to you by giving you what you need to like get to the point where you're the person who would attract those kind of things. Life gives you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness, as Eckhart Tolle says. In other words, in layman's terms, who says life gives you what you need. Life gives you what you need. And you get what you want through what you need. And don't worry about plans. I mean, do stuff. Like, just the best mindset for like the conscious life is changing your mindset around the now. But it's not, you don't want to have a set mind. You want to have no mind. But if you're gonna think, you need to think of a technique. So this is what I was talking about before. I imagine that Eckhart Tolle is with me. He's my favorite spiritual teacher. So I imagine he's with me, and as I was saying before, thought to remove a thought, thought to remove a thought. You start with the thought. So you're just walking like we are now. You're just walking, and you kind of say to yourself, Eckhart's with me. And you kind of just trust, okay? Because when you're trusting, you're not fearing. When you're not fearing, you're in love. And when you're in love, there's no ego. And when there's no ego, you're meditating. So anyway, so what you do is you trust that Eckhart's with you, or whatever, Jesus, whatever, God. You just gotta, there's no right or wrong meditation. You just gotta stick to, it's all about stick-to-itiveness. Because if you keep changing, like I did for the first like 5 years of my meditation journey. I've only been on the journey for about 4 or 5 years, but most of it I've been flip-flopping. But when you stick with one, stuff will start to go exponential. Stuff will start to go exponential either way. But anyway, so you start going exponential. You stick with the thought, and then it becomes subtle. And then instead of like reminding the whole thought, you'll go, oh, that's right. And you'll remember before the whole thought finishes, and you'll pull yourself into the moment. So what it does is these techniques make you have a quantum leap. You have a quantum leap from the mind, and you use the mind to get rid of the mind. So you use the mind, you think something. You'll find out that that's even not you as well, but it's weird. If you want a positive mind, it's got to be quiet most of the time. And then when you think, or when it thinks, it's naturally positive, and you can attract anything, you can do anything, you can literally do anything. And actually, this is what I want to do right now. I want to install a belief. Oh, this is tricky as well, because you got to let go. This is what you got to let go of everything. But just let this pass. Let this pass. Let my words hit you, and then let it go. But hopefully, it'll kind of like stick with you. Well, not stick. That's not the right word, because that implies that it stays. But I just want to change your vibration a little bit, tweak it. You know. Anyway, basically what you want to do is, I forgot what I was saying. I want to that's right. I want to install a belief in you. Yeah, so you can do anything. Okay, so I had this experience the other month, and I was flooded. I emptied my cup, so to speak. I emptied. I didn't have any thought. And then I was filled up with this energy, bro. This energy was like nothing else I've ever experienced. It was like, oh my God, it was amazing. I literally was like as successful, if not more successful than Elon Musk. So like, if I was in that state for the rest of my life, I would be like one of the most amazing, one of the most successful materialistically and spiritually as well. But on the outside, I literally could have achieved anything. I could have done anything. And then after that, I've realized how much we can do. Like, people are just saying, the only reason you're not doing the best is because you're not feeling the best. If you feel like you're already there, you will attract it. And it's not like it all just comes to you. Like, yeah, it does. But you go to it. Like, it becomes real when you believe in it. So, and how you do this is you empty your cup and then God fills it up. How do you do this? You meditate. This is what meditation gives you. If meditation can give you that energy, there's nothing you can't achieve, because if it's a health issue, you can just look up how people heal from those health issues, start taking the action, because you will, because you've got the energy behind you that's going to make you want to take the effort. So look up RJ Spina, see how he unparalyzed himself, he was riddled with cancer, got rid of all the cancer, got rid of everything negative, and now he's just one of the most enlightened beings of our time, and he's doing great, and he's got so many great courses. He's got a course, anyway, I won't go into it, but you want to check out Leo Gura for the overall kind of theories on, they're not theories, they're truths, but because he dedicates himself to truth, and he says that's the most important thing you do. Strive to be good and dedicate yourself to truth. So Leo Gura for like overall, like what you should do, maybe business and all that. And then when it comes to, actually that's not true, because I was going to say, like, for your spiritual stuff, go Eckhart. For your stuff in the middle, go Eckhart, the three giants. Eckhart Tolle for spirituality, Leo Gura for actualize.org for conscious content, and RJ Spina for like healing and stuff. Anyway, he's got a book coming out called The Law of Attention, which is already like doing really good. Like, it's not out yet, but it's pre-ordered and it's on the top of the Amazon list for spirituality, and the category is probably spirituality and religious, but it's not religious. But I mean, he learns from religion, but it's not like one religion is better than another. That's kind of the issue some people they think one religion is better than another. And I'm not talking about the people in the religion, like that's part of it. I'm talking about the essence of the religion, what started the religion. It's all about raising your consciousness and meditating or taking psychedelics to the degree. I'm not recommending psychedelics. Personally, I can't take psychedelics. I could, but anyway, I'm not getting into that. But raising your consciousness, and then you can get to the truth. And the truth is that there is no self. There's the one self and the no self. So there's the false self, which is the mind, the ego, the matrix. There's the true self, which is presence, this, no past, no future, just this. The now, that's moving, but it's not, the past never comes, it's just a thought in the now. The future never comes, it's just a thought in the now. And then there's the one self, which is being one with everything. And like identifying, you're not like, I'm just this body, you're literally that car over there, you're literally that house, you're literally everything. And that's when you realize divine love, which is when your awakening is full and total. It's incomplete if you have not reached love. So yeah, so I do a lot of parroting, but the thing is, I know enough to know this stuff is true because I've experienced enough. And when you experience enough, you're not in the head like so much. You're intuitively speaking and knowing stuff is true because of your past experiences, and you're trusting and you're knowing, and it's knowing. I know enough to know this stuff is true. Anyway, so yeah, the one self. So there's the false self, the true self, the one self, and then the no self. Which I get tastes of. I mean, I reckon it's hard. Anyway, I won't get into it. There's another thing I won't get into because it's controversial and people don't understand. Basically, I think I had an awakening, a massive awakening. I think my ego died. Now I got runoff karma, what they call runoff karma, which is like, it's like there's a waterfall on a rock, and that's the ego is the water. The rock is, so the rock is just, basically the water's coming down and then it gets cut, and the rock is like you, and the water is like the ego, and you can't see the rock because there's the water coming. But then what happens is you have an awakening. The water stops flowing because the ego is dead. It can't do anything. But then there's just like leftover water that's running off the rock, and they're called runoff karma, because karma and ego come hand in hand. They kind of go together. So with meditation, okay, I sometimes I jump around, I jump around with what I'm saying. But basically, my memory is actually getting way better, by the way, too. It gets better as you meditate, because it literally, yeah. So meditation technique, find a technique and then just dedicate yourself. I had a dream the other night that showed me that surrender is the whole thing. Like, especially like, I'm just trying to think if I should say this. It's alright. What you want to do is you want to start meditating as soon as you can, so that you can empty your cup of the ego and then fill yourself up with God and let God use you like a tool. Or as Leo says, like, you'll realize you are God. Not just your God, you're a fractal, you're like a ray of the sun. You're the whole fucking sun. This is what Leo says. And I believe that, because consciousness is a spectrum, which means it's infinite. So you can realize anything. I mean, there's an infinity of gods, according to Leo. He's taken psychedelics. He's got an episode on it called Infinity of Gods. And what happens is, as soon as you become aware of another god, you become one with that god. So there is stuff beyond your consciousness, but once it enters your consciousness, you become one with it and whatever you were previously. Excuse me, I'm a bit puffed going up this hill. Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, look, thanks for staying. I hope this added some value. I don't feel like it's time to end it right now, because I want to add more value. I want to leave it on a really juicy note. So that'll come in a sec. But you just gotta be present. You gotta do what you need to do to get by your day, and you'll have everything. But the best thing is do the best you can. Change your mindset. This is what I was talking about before, but I got distracted on the word mindset, explaining that you don't need a mindset. But change your mindset around the now to do it now and do the best you can with the present moment. But the thing is, you'll naturally do that. As you raise your consciousness, you'll literally find your body moving in one way. There's this guy who's a friend of Benson Massaro's, and he was like coaching with him, this group of people, and he shared this experience of him like becoming really conscious, and then he like walked up, went to the bathroom, and he saw that the toothpaste was like on the side, and he just picked it up and stood it on its head, so it was like properly up. And what he learned from that is that naturally, like, the nature of reality is one aspect of the nature of reality is order. You just naturally look after things. You naturally like heal the world, like so, because we're good. We're like a coin. It's made out of goodness, but there's a good and bad side to it. But ultimately it's all good. You could say that is love and fear, and then ultimate love is the actual what the coin's made of. Anyway, all right. I really got to end this on a good note, because I want to be successful, and I know I will be. And I can look back on these videos and be like, this can be evidence to support the idea of enlightenment. We got to get it out there. We got to enlighten ourselves and inspire people and tell them why and how and what. and all the who, what, when, where, why of meditation, and why they should do it. So we got to get it out there so that people actually start doing it and we start changing the world, because the only reason we're not fully enlightened, the only reason the world is as it is because the world isn't enlightened. Most of the world is not enlightened. Because they don't know about it, number one. And number two, it's not time. But RJ Spina is doing global meditations, which is great. So he's getting people to all meditate at the same time, probably thousands of people, if not hundreds. So this world is going to change. It's going to change fast. And we're all going to be enlightened. It's going to be okay. I'm a long-term optimist, just like Eckhart Tolle. So I got this in the bag, easy. You got this in the bag, easy. Everyone's got this in the bag. We just got to believe in each other. But they say, like, don't just believe, because there's room for doubt and belief. But no. There's hope, then there's belief or faith, then there's knowing. So just know that you're safe. Know that you got this. You got to find a meditation technique and you got to stick with it like you're gold mining. You got to go as deep as you can, not shallow in lots of holes. That's the best thing I can tell. If I went back 10 years ago when I started my journey, that's when I started my journey. That's when I didn't start meditating, but I was meditating. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. Anyway, but basically, if I could go back and give myself advice, it would be to stick with one technique. But I had to go through all of that so that I can now teach you that. So everything's necessary. As hard as that is to believe, everything's necessary. And that's not that compassionate, you know, when you think about it. When you're like, what about children who are dying of starvation in Africa? What about inequality? What about racism, sexism, nationalism? In the way that I mean nationalism, I mean like thinking that your country is better than other countries. I mean, look, there's evidence to support the fact that some countries are better than others, and yeah, they are, but they change from the individual level. If you start to meditate and you get your family meditation, and then you get their family friends to meditate, and then so on and so forth, and it spreads like wildfire, then like in like a year, like if everyone was meditating, the whole country would be completely different. But people aren't ready because they're not conscious enough. But ultimately we're more positive than negative, because most people are more negative than they are positive. The people who are positive are so positive it brings the overall up. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this in some way. I hope you got something from it. I'm only in my early stages of this success journey. My spiritual success, my material success. I'm only in the, if you're like, I just want to be spiritual, why should I be materialistic? That's so materialistic, that's so fucking, don't do that. But I met a guy in hospital who was fully enlightened. And he told, I can share that story another time. Anyway, share that while I was in hospital. Anyway, I won't go into it. Anyway, so he was like, I was like, why are you chasing success? And he said, because it's fun. And Eckhart says, like, you can enjoy these things. You can enjoy the pleasures of life, the possessions of life. You can enjoy all this when you're enlightened. Like, it's not bad to have things. It's bad to seek happiness outside when it's inside. I say bad, but it is, because people are looking for happiness in possessions. You get what you want, and then you want something else, and you get that unwanting happiness, that peace, that satisfaction, that gratitude once you get what you want, but then it doesn't last long. The novelty wears off. If I've learned anything, the novelty wears off. Okay? Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed, guys. I just want to get really good at like speaking, so I want to do public speaking. I want to do one-on-one coaching, one-to-many coaching. I just want this life so bad, but it's trickier than I thought. But it's super simple because I know the secret, or as the book says, the greatest secret. You know, there's the secret, which is the law of attraction, which is about letting go and letting in. This is the secret to the secret. They say it's all about your thoughts, and yeah, it is, but you don't change thoughts on the level of thought, because that would go against what Albert Einstein says. You can't change the level of thinking at the same level. You have to go higher. And with a state of consciousness, how you go higher is you raise your consciousness. Raising your consciousness is putting your attention on it so it grows, because where attention goes, energy flows, and where things flow, things grow. And so you do that by being conscious of your consciousness, being conscious that you're conscious, and that is meditation. So meditation raises your consciousness, and yeah, and then you can change those thoughts. Well, you don't change them, they just naturally change on their own. And that's how you use the law of attraction. You let go and then you let in. It's not like you do anything, like you just open the door and they walk in. And opening the door to let things out and to let things in, you know, the bad stuff out, the good stuff, even some of the positive stuff you get rid of. But then it gets replaced by even more positive stuff. But you that letting in, that opening of the door is meditation. So, and then the greatest secret is meditation, because it's the greatest secret. It's more powerful. It's a precursor to the secret. You get the greatest secret down, the secret will follow, and all of life's secrets will follow. So once you know the secret and you meditate, everything will be all right. And because of your faith, it will happen. That's a quote from the Bible. Because of your faith, it will happen. So have faith. That's a great meditation right there. It's the simplest meditation, having faith. Because when you're having faith, I explained before, but when you're having faith, like, you're not thinking, because you're trusting in the moment. You're elongating the gap between two thoughts by trusting. And when you're not fearing, when there's no fear, it's love and it's fearlessness, and that grows your consciousness. Because your attention is on one thing, it's single pointed. Anyway, I'll let you go. Have a good one, guys. You got this in the bag. You just got to start. You just got to start and learn to do it, like, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. As Osho says, you start, you get the knack of it. And the knack isn't just like not thinking at all, because you got to remove the barriers that you've built up against love and wash yourself of yourself, as Rumi states. So it takes time to remove the things that you've built up against love. It's not about, it's not about finding love. It's about removing the fear, because all healing is essentially a release from fear. So if you want to heal on the deepest levels, you got to meditate. Because the I am is the most powerful thing you can do to heal from a vaccine. The most powerful thing you can heal from anything. From anything. If you believe and have the intention and you don't doubt, and if it does doubt, it's okay. It's part of your journey. It's meant to be there so you can learn. It's teaching you. We're always going forward. Everything's okay. There's nothing to worry about. You know, shit's gonna happen. But we're lucky we're in a first world country. Like, we're so fucking lucky. We're so fucking lucky. Anyway, have a good one, guys. Peace. Jules out.